The summer of 2006 would see Michael Owen tear his ACL, uttering in the slow decline of a phenomenal career. But what if this had never happened and he had returned to Liverpool? How effective could he be playing a full season with his boyhood club? And Owen has returned to Merseyside. Between 1996 and 2004, he would play 297 games with Liverpool, in the process scoring 158 times. He'd help his club win no fewer than 6 trophies, including a cup treble in 2001. That very same year, he'd win football's ultimate individual prize, the Ballon d'Or. 5 years later, Michael is still a top forward. He retains most of that significant pace which made him a thorn in the side of so many defenders. His finishing is absolutely elite. Combine that with his composure, and you have one of the league's best strikers. Whilst this Liverpool squad isn't perfect, there is considerable talent. Steven Gerrard here is also 26. Earlier in his career, he created plenty of chances for his former teammate, and will want to redevelop that partnership quickly. Likewise, Jamie Carragher at the back. Also in his prime in his late 20s, the spine of this team should be strong, with 3 England internationals. In reality, Liverpool would finish 3rd in the Premier League in the 2007 season, 21 points behind eventual champions Manchester United. The domestic cups would see disappointing early eliminations, but they did make it to the Champions League final before losing it to AC Milan. For the season ahead, we'll mainly be playing variations of 4-2-3-1 and 3-5-2. Owen has been instructed to make runs in behind and press the ball. He'll also be our penalty taker for the upcoming season. As I mentioned earlier, I do think the spine of this team is pretty good. Where we seem to be weakest is in wide positions and at fullback. Let's play through the season and see what happens. Well, it turned out to be a real slow start. Over the opening 3 matches, we'd pick up just 1 point. A draw to Sheffield United was sandwiched in between defeats to Portsmouth and Aston Villa. A trip to Manchester City was next, where we'd be missing Xabi Alonso through illness. Lining up for them is an 18-year-old Micah Richards, already amongst the best young defenders in the division. Matchday 4 would see Owen's first goal since returning. Some patient build-up through the middle before Luis Garcia finds him with a simple through ball. The match would end 1-1. Thankfully, back-to-back victories would follow, and lift us all the way to 10th. So far we've done well defensively, but are really struggling to create many chances. A trip to Spurs would follow. With the low number of goals so far, we're going to go with a new strike partner. Dirk Kuyt has missed a significant amount of the season with injury so far, but he's now fit and should hopefully do a better job than Peter Crouch. And it's not just us with the goal-scoring issues. Tottenham have managed just 4 in the league so far. Robbie Keane has had the most trouble in front of goal, failing to find the back of the net in 5 matches. This game would start to ignite the Englishman's season. He'd create 2 goals, first for Xabi Alonso and then Dirk Kuyt, before converting a late penalty of his own. After such a promising performance, the Dutchman would again suffer injury. A few weeks later, Crouch would be back up top. I had completely forgotten that Alex Song played for Charlton back in 2007. At this point on loan from Arsenal, he's already looking like he's developing into a top player. Cameroon international was powerless to stop Owen opening the scoring. John Arnorisa is found in space on the wing before a clever through ball inside. 6 minutes later, he added a second, before an eventual 4-0 victory. With the midway point of the season rapidly approaching, we visited Reading. Steven Gerrard showed those elite creative qualities, finding Owen in space. The second half would see one of my favourite goals of the entire season. Owen finds himself on the end of the clearance, kinda similarly to the goal via Argentina in 1998. He runs at 2 defenders before finishing. Despite taking the lead with just 40 minutes remaining, poor defending would again cost us late on. Our league form had become a little alarming, picking up just 3 points out of a possible 15. With us sitting in 9th, so far things were looking a little grim. Let's move away from the Premier League though, and see how Owen performed in other competitions. The opening group stage game would see Liverpool host Werder Bremen. Again, Gerrard finds his compatriot with a perfect through ball to ensure a 3-1 victory. Topping a group with the German side, Lyon and Legia Warsaw meant moving on to the round of 16. Sadly, this was where our European journey would end. We couldn't emulate reality and make our way to Athens. Valencia were too strong. Victories in the League Cup against QPR, Colchester and Portsmouth set up a semi-final against Manchester United. Just 1 minute into the first leg, Owen would find himself on the end of a lucky ricochet. He shows that elite composure to convert the chance. Another victory in the second leg meant that we'd made it to the League Cup final. 2 early sendings off reduced both sides to 10 men. The opening goal of the game would arrive in the 38th minute. Michael doesn't miss from there. That turned out to be the only goal of the game. Liverpool were League Cup winners. The FA Cup offered another chance for silverware. After demolishing Shrewsbury, we'd follow up with wins against Reading, Ipswich and Manchester City. This set up a semi-final against Tottenham. A decisive counter set Owen away and behind the defence. His chip was perfectly executed on the way to a 2-1 win. For the second time this season, Liverpool were lining up at Wembley. This time around, it would be Aston Villa hoping to stop us securing a cup double. This is actually a pretty solid Villa side, with the likes of Ashley Young, Gareth Barry and John Carew. And it would be the Norway international who opens the scoring, dominating Xabi Alonso in the air. But just like in reality, Owen loved an FA Cup final. Earlier in the game he'd equalise before gambling on Dirk Kuyt's flick-on. He rounds the keeper and puts it away. That would prove to be the decisive goal. Liverpool had secured their second trophy of the season. But let's get back to the Premier League and see what lies in store for the final few months. And his scoring kept coming. In the space of 39 minutes away against Wigan, he'd find the back of the net 4 times. My personal favourite was this one, where Gerrard finds him with a clever flick. Despite Owen's 4 goals, things were still tightly contested at the midway stage. With just 5 minutes remaining, Paul Scharner would equalise. Entering stoppage time, everything was to play for. The ball breaks down before Wigan secure possession. The Austrian international again shoots at goal and scores. And that would prove to be the winner. Despite Michael scoring 4 goals in a game, somehow we failed to get anything. Our inconsistent league form would continue. Over the next 7 matches, picking up 12 points. United would then visit Anfield. Unsurprisingly, they were one of the strongest defensive outfits in the entire league. With Ferdinand and Vidic at the back, it was going to be tough. Again, the English forward would prove to be the difference maker. After opening the scoring in the 71st minute, he'd add another 6 minutes later, being found by Sissoko. His final goal contribution of the season would arrive at St James's Park. Finding space out on the wing, he centres the ball perfectly for Dirk Kuyt, who finishes well. In all, Michael Owen would play 58 games for Liverpool over the course of the season. He contributes 67 goals and assists. His 19 goal contributions in cup competitions were integral to our successful cup double. Whilst in Europe, he'd only find the back of the net twice. 7 further assists did showcase those creative qualities. During the course of the year, his shot conversion rate was an impressive 24.8%. Directly, his goals led to his side picking up 31 points in the Premier League. In the Players' Player of the Year voting, he'd finish a respectable 3rd place behind Arsenal forwards Thierry Henry and Robin van Persie. Similarly, he'd lose out to Henry in the Golden Boot race. 28 though was an impressive return. His 11 league assists also ranked him 4th highest in that category too. But where did Liverpool finish in the table? Well, after a significant upturn in form in the final few months of the season, it would be 6th. The 72 goals scored meant we finished as the 2nd highest scorers in the competition. There were 2 clear issues though, which affected our ability to compete. First was the 54 goals conceded. Second, was our terrible away form. Over the course of the season, we'd win just 4 matches away from Anfield. Michael Owen was one of the best forwards of his generation. In his prime, he was basically unplayable, with pace to burn and an unmatched goal-scoring instinct. Injuries really robbed us of what could have been an amazing conclusion to an elite career. Here on his return to Liverpool, he proved a valuable part of their success.